Chapter 12. Exuding Innate, Conquest and Plunder, talking about the past. Su Wan Ci's longing for her parents became even more intense. Countless nights, she dreamt that her parents were still alive, just like 15 years ago, when she was a person loved by her parents. Unlike her current reality, where she struggled alone in the world. Seeing Su Wan Ci's lips tighten and the strong sadness and pain in her eyes, Lu Yu's fingers tightened imperceptibly. He stood up and sat down beside Su Wan Ci, reaching out to embrace her shoulder and interrupt the topic. "Mom, when will we have lunch?" "It's almost 12 o'clock. Lu's mother snapped out of her thoughts and looked at the wall clock. She quickly stood up. "Lunch will be ready soon. Wan. You to just wait a moment." She took a couple of steps, then stopped and called out to Lu Xiao, who was pouring tea. "Old Lu, come in and help." Su Wan Ci looked at Yuan Ruoshu and was about to get up to help when Liu, holding her waist, pulled her back into his arms. Yuan Ruoshu also intervened, saying, "The kitchen is full of smoke. Wan, have some fruit outside." As she spoke, Lu's mother rolled up her sleeves. "Today, let me show off my skills. Wan, you can taste my cooking." After Lu's father and Lu's mother went into the kitchen, Liu looked at Su Wan Ci and asked, "Missing your parents a bit?" Liu observed the corners of her eyes closely, not detecting any traces of tears. So he spoke again. "I know a way to instantly improve your mood. What ah?" Su Wan Ci had just begun to speak when Liu suddenly exerted force with the hand around her waist, lifting her and placing her on his lap. Before Su Wan Ci could react, he lowered his head and kissed her lips. Su Wan Ci's startled cry was swallowed by his lips. The living room and the kitchen were quite close, only a door apart. Lu's father and Lu's mother could come out at any moment. Su Wan Ci was taken aback by Liu's action, her mind momentarily blank. As she was about to push him away, he pressed his lips against hers again. "Lu." In that brief moment when she spoke, Liu took advantage of the opening. Seeing his kiss becoming deeper, Su Wan Ci bit down on his tongue in a rush. "Liu." She caught her breath and dodged his kiss, saying, "Your parents are here. Tone it down a bit." Liu's eyes were dark, like ink spilled across his gaze. "If my parents weren't here, would it be fine then?" Su Wan Ci, what kind of question was that? Before she could respond, Liu lifted her horizontally in his arms. Su Wan Ci instinctively held onto his neck. Seeing her reaction, he smirked with satisfaction. Wan, since you're feeling shy, I'll take you somewhere private." Su Wan Ci gritted her teeth and said, "Who's feeling shy? Liu, can't you control yourself a bit?" "Why should I control myself?" Liu walked briskly to the second floor. "You're my wife, and if I want a kiss, I'll kiss you." Compared to the bustling downstairs, the second floor was much quieter. Liu carried Su Wan Ci to the first room on the left, kicking the door shut. He pressed her against it and kissed her passionately. He sucked on her lips, fervently and insistently. His hands began to search for hers, and his cool fingers assertively entwined with hers, their 10 fingers interlocking, though Liu usually appeared languid and indifferent. As if he didn't care about anything, his kiss was the exact opposite. The sense of possession and conquest that seemed to radiate from his very bones made it nearly impossible for Su Wan Ci to resist, until the last trace of air in her lungs was squeezed out. Liu mercifully released her from the kiss, observing her eyes slightly reddened at the corners and the way she was taking deep breaths. Liu clicked his tongue in mild amusement, concerned that her legs might give way. He wrapped an arm around her waist, gently brushing his lips against her trembling ones. "Wanu, it seems like your lung capacity could use some improvement. You should practice more." His voice held a mischievous tone, and a glint of mischief danced in his eyes. "Your husband will accompany you in your practice anytime you like." Before Su Wan Ci could react to his audaciousness, he leaned in and kissed her lips once more, effectively diverting her attention. Regaining her strength, she pushed him away with newfound determina. "Shin, your parents are downstairs. Show some restraint, Liu." Liu's lips curled into a satisfied smile. If they weren't here, would it be acceptable then? Su Wan Ci arched an eyebrow, puzzled by his question. Before she could reply, Lu Yu scooped her up and carried her to a room on the second floor. He gently pressed her against the doorframe, capturing her lips in a possessive kiss. As the kiss deepened, his hands sought hers, his cool fingers intertwining with hers. Though Lu Yu often appeared nonchalant and disinterested in most matters, his kisses were a stark contrast. They exuded an essence of conquest and dominance, leaving Su Wan Ci unable to resist. When he finally released her, she gasped for air. Feeling as if her lungs had been emptied, Lu Yu clicked his tongue in amusement. Your lung capacity could use some work. You should practice more. Your husband will be there to accompany you. Su Wan Ci widened her eyes in disbelief. Did she hear him correctly? Lu Yu was willing to help her. She couldn't help but be skeptical. Given his usual penchant for mischief, as she stood before the vanity mirror, ready to apply lipstick, Lu Yu unexpectedly intervened, cradling her face with one hand. He deftly applied a thin layer of lipstick to her quivering lips. Within moments, he stepped back, admiring his handiwork. There you go. Su Wan Ci furrowed her brows as she examined her reflection. To her surprise, her lips looked perfect. Teasingly, she remarked, Lu Yu, you seem quite skilled at this. Have you practiced on many women? Lu Yu casually tossed the lipstick aside. His response carried a mix of seriousness and playfulness. Would you believe me if I said you're my first? Su Wan Ci's eyebrow arched slightly. This level of skill doesn't seem like that of a novice. Lu Yu's lips curled into a smirk. Perhaps I'm a self-taught expert. Su Wan Ci responded with an indifferent hum, clearly unimpressed. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. In the dining room downstairs, Lu Yu's mother had prepared an elaborate feast, laden with an array of dishes that filled the table. With great enthusiasm, she served Su Wan Ci, generously filling her bowl with various dishes. In no time, Su Wan Ci's plate was piled high. As the meal progressed, Su Wan Ci's plate seemed to overflow with an assortment of dishes. Watching her struggle, Lu Yu's mother continued to add more delicacies. Try this, Wanu. I want you to savor my cooking. Su Wan Ci's eyes widened as her plate continued to accumulate an assortment of food. Observing her plate, Lu Yu couldn't resist joining the fun. He picked up a morsel and took a bite, never breaking eye contact with Su Wan Ci. His actions amused Su Wan Ci. With a playful exasperation, she pushed her plate toward him, unperturbed. Lu Yu selected a piece of food from her plate and took a bite, relishing the flavors with theatrical satisfaction. Su Wan Ci sighed, her plate now considerably lighter, despite the jovial atmosphere. She couldn't help but feel a sense of warmth as she navigated this unfamiliar family dynamic.